The mining ship drifted silently through the asteroid belt. Inside, Taiwan checked his oxygen levels and sighed. 3 more hours until his shift ended. 3 more hours of breaking rocks, looking for rare metals that Earth needed so badly. Taiwan was 32 years old, with strong hands and tired eyes. He had been a miner for 10 years now. The pay was good, but the work was lonely. Today, like most days, he worked alone on asteroid KX-97, far from the main mining colony. Control. This is Taiwan at Site 12, he said into his radio. Extraction is at 67%. Should finish on schedule. Copy that, Taiwan, came the reply. Weather report shows some solar activity, but nothing to worry about. Keep digging. Taiwan turned back to his drilling machine. The vibrations traveled up his arms as the drill bit into the rocky surface. This was his life, the constant hum of machines, the darkness of space, and the endless search for resources. He didn't notice the ship at first. It appeared suddenly, as if from nowhere. One moment, Taiwan was alone among the asteroids. The next, a massive shadow fell over his work site. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. It wasn't human-made, that much was clear. Its hull was smooth and dark, with strange patterns that seemed to shift and move. It was at least 10 times larger than the biggest Earth ships. Control. Taiwan shouted into his radio. Unknown vessel at my location. Do you copy? Only static answered him. A green light suddenly bathed his mining pod. Taiwan felt his stomach drop as the pod lifted off the asteroid's surface. He was caught in some kind of tractor beam. No, 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 he muttered, hitting emergency buttons. Nothing worked. His engines were dead. His radio was useless. He was being pulled toward the alien ship, and there was nothing he could do about it. The mining pod entered a large opening in the ship's side. With a soft thud, it landed in what appeared to be a hangar bay. Taiwan grabbed the small knife he kept for cutting cables and waited. The pod's door opened with a hiss. Taiwan blinked in the bright light. Then he saw them. The aliens were tall, at least 7 feet. They had 6 limbs, 2 legs, 2 arms like humans, and an extra pair of smaller arms at their midsection. Their bodies were covered in scales that shimmered with colors that changed as they moved. Their heads were slightly pointed, with large, compound eyes like insects. 4 of them stood around his pod, holding strange devices that Taiwan assumed were weapons. They made clicking sounds to each other, their language, he guessed. One stepped forward and pointed a small object at Taiwan. A beam of light scanned him from head to toe. Human male, said a flat, mechanical voice. Healthy, no significant damage. They had translators. That was something, at least. Who are you? Taiwan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Why have you taken me? The alien who had scanned him tilted its head. You are cargo now, the translator said. Captain Krell will decide your use. 2 aliens grabbed Taiwan's arms. He tried to fight, but their grip was like iron. They dragged him from his pod and through corridors lined with the same shifting patterns. As the ship's hull, other aliens stopped to watch as he passed. Some made sounds that might have been laughter. They brought him to a room with a clear wall cell. They pushed him inside, and a field of energy appeared across the opening. When Taiwan touched it, pain shot up his arm. Wait here, said the translator. Captain comes soon. Taiwan sat on the hard floor and tried to think. Earth had made contact with 3 alien species so far, but none looked like these creatures. First contact had always been peaceful, carefully managed by both sides. This was different. This was a kidnapping. Hours passed. Taiwan checked his watch, still working, at least. He had been in the cell for nearly 5 hours when the aliens returned. One was dressed differently than the others. Its scales were decorated with metal pieces that caught the light. This had to be Captain Krell, human, the translator said as Krell studied him. You understand me? Yes, Taiwan said. I understand. Why am I here? Earth has treaties with Earth. Treaties mean nothing to Vakari, the translator cut in. We take what we want. We go where we want. Vakari? Is that what you call yourselves? Krell made a series of clicks. Yes, we are Vakari. You are human. Weak species. New to space. Interesting to study. Taiwan stood up. I'm not a lab animal. My people will look for me. More clicking sounds, definitely laughter this time. Your people will think you had accident. Asteroids dangerous. Many humans die in space. The truth of this hit Taiwan hard. Mining accidents were common. If his pod was missing, Control would assume he had been hit by an asteroid or had an oxygen failure. They would search for a while, then declare him dead. No one would suspect aliens had taken him. What do you want from me? Taiwan asked. Krell moved closer to the energy field. Entertainment, the translator said. Vekari ship on long patrol. Crew bored. Need amusement. A cold feeling spread through Taiwan's chest. What kind of entertainment? You will see tomorrow. Rest now. Need strength. As the aliens turned to leave, Taiwan's hand went to his neck, where a small pendant hung on a chain. It was a dragon carved from green jade, a family treasure. His grandmother had given it to him before his first space mission. For protection, she had said. Dragons are powerful guardians. Taiwan had smiled and thanked her, not believing in such things. He was a modern man, a space miner. But now, trapped on an alien ship, heading toward an unknown fate, he clutched the pendant tightly. The ship hummed around him as it moved through space. Through a small window in his cell, Taiwan could see stars streaking by. They were traveling fast, moving away from Earth, away from everything he knew. Where were they taking him? What did entertainment mean to these Vekari? Taiwan sat in the corner of his cell, the jade dragon worm in his hand, and waited for tomorrow to come. Sleep did not come easily to Taiwan. The hard floor of his cell, the strange humming of the alien ship, and the fear of what tomorrow might bring kept him awake for hours. When he finally did sleep, his dreams were filled with strange creatures and endless falling. He woke to a sharp sound, the cell's energy field being turned off. 2 Vekari guards stood in the doorway. Up, one said through the translator. Captain wants you ready. Taiwan stood slowly, his body stiff from the uncomfortable night. Ready for what? The guards didn't answer. One pushed a container toward him. Inside was a strange liquid that smelled like metal. Drink, the guard ordered. Need strength. Taiwan hesitated, then took a small sip. The liquid tasted better than it smelled, sweet and cool. He felt energy spread through his body almost immediately. What is this? He asked. Nutrient solution, the guard replied. Now come. They led him through more corridors. The ship seemed even larger than Taiwan had first thought. They passed rooms filled with strange machines, areas where Vekari were eating or resting, and once, a large window that showed the vastness of space outside. Taiwan tried to memorize the path, looking for anything that might help him escape. But the ship was a maze, and without knowing where they were in space, escape seemed impossible. Finally, they reached a large door. One guard pressed his hand to a panel, and the door slid open to reveal a small room with a window. Through the window, Taiwan could see what looked like a massive stadium. The room contained several Vekari, including Captain Krell. They turned as Taiwan entered. Human is here, Krell said through the translator. Good timing. Audience is ready. Audience? Taiwan asked. What audience? Krell gestured to the window. Look. Taiwan moved closer to the glass. What he had thought was a stadium was actually a huge circular pit, surrounded by rising seats. The seats were filled with hundreds, maybe thousands of Vekari. Their scales glittered in the bright lights, creating a sea of shifting colors. Where are we? Taiwan asked, his mouth suddenly dry. This isn't your ship. Outpost station, Krell replied. Vekari Entertainment Complex. Very popular. Many come to watch. Watch what? Krell made that clicking sound again. Laughter. Watch you, human. Watch you meet the dragons. Dragons. Taiwan's hand went to his pendant. What do you mean? Instead of answering, Krell turned to another Vekari, one wearing elaborate decorations on its scales. They exchanged clicks and gestures. Station master is pleased, Krell said, turning back to Taiwan. Humans rare here. Good entertainment. I'm not entertainment, Taiwan said, anger rising in his chest. I'm a person. You can't just can, Krell interrupted. Will Vekari do as Vekari please? The station master approached Taiwan, studying him with those large, compound eyes. It reached out one of its smaller arms and touched Taiwan's face. The touch was cold and dry, soft, the station master said through its own translator. Fragile. How long will it last, do you think? Not long, Krell replied. But should be interesting to watch. Tai-1 stepped back. Whatever you're planning, don't. My people, your people think you dead, Krell said. No one comes for you. The station master made a gesture, and the guards grabbed Tai-1's arms again. Time to begin, the station master said. Audience waits. They led Tai-1 through another door and onto a platform that extended over the edge of the pit. Now he could see the entire arena clearly. The pit was deeper than he had thought, maybe 50 feet down. The floor was covered with dark sand. In the center was a large metal grate. The crowd of Vakari made excited clicking sounds as Tai-1 appeared. Some pointed at him. Others made gestures he couldn't understand. What is this place? Tai-1 asked, though he was beginning to understand all too well. Dragon Pit. The station master said. Our greatest treasure. Genuine Terran dragons. There's no such thing as dragons, Tai-1 said. They're myths. The station master's translator made a sound like laughter. Not myths, real. Found on moon of gas giant and system you humans not reach yet. We named them after your Earth stories. Funny, yes. Hilarious, Tai-1 muttered. The station master stepped to the edge of the platform and raised all four arms. The crowd fell silent. Today, special event, the station master announced. Its voice amplified throughout the arena. Human specimen meets dragons for first time. How will Earth creature react to beasts of its own legends? Place your bets now. A ripple of excitement moved through the crowd. Screens around the arena lit up with numbers and symbols. The betting odds, Tai-1 realized. They're betting on how I'll die, he said quietly. Yes, Krell replied. Some bet you run. Some bet you fight. Some bet you freeze in fear. What will you do, human? Before Tai-1 could answer, a loud rumbling sound came from below. The grate in the center of the pit began to slide open. The crowd grew louder, clicking and hissing in anticipation. From the darkness beneath the grate, something moved. Tai-1 caught glimpses of scales, of claws, of long, sinuous bodies. Dragon's wake, the station master said. They hungry, not fed for 3 days. Waiting for you. Tai-1 looked around desperately. The platform had no railings. The drop to the pit floor was far enough to hurt, maybe break bones. The guards still held his arms tightly. Please, Tai-1 said. You don't have to do this. True, Krell agreed. Don't have to, want to. Big difference. The station master raised its arms again. Begin. The guards lifted Tai-1 off his feet. He struggled, kicking and twisting, but their grip was too strong. They swung him back and forth, once, twice, and let go. Tai-1 flew through the air, arms windmilling. The crowd's sound faded as the rush of air filled his ears. The pit floor came up fast. He hit hard, rolling to absorb some of the impact. Pain shot through his shoulder and hip. Sand filled his mouth. For a moment, he lay still, the breath knocked from his lungs. Then he heard it a low, rumbling sound, like thunder, but continuous, like the largest cat in the world, purring. Slowly, Tai-1 raised his head. The dragons were coming. Tai-1's heart pounded as he pushed himself to his knees. The sand beneath him was dark and warm. The air smelled of sulfur and something else, something ancient and wild. The open grate in the center of the pit was a black hole, 20 feet across. From this darkness, the dragons were emerging. First came a long, serpentine neck, rising like a periscope from the depths. The head at the end was not like the dragons in Western stories. It was more like the dragons from Asian art, elongated, with a mane of what looked like fine tendrils rather than hair. Its scales were a deep red that seemed to glow from within. The crowd above fell silent as the creature pulled itself fully into the pit. It had 4 legs with sharp claws, but no wings. Its body was long and flexible, moving with the grace of a giant snake. From nose to tail, it must have been 30 feet long. A second dragon followed, this one smaller, with scales of shimmering green. Then a third, golden yellow. A fourth, white as snow. Finally, the largest of all emerged, a massive beast with scales so dark blue they were almost black. 5 dragons now circled the pit, their bodies flowing around each other like rivers of living color. They moved with surprising speed and silence for creatures so large. Tai-1 stood slowly, trying not to make sudden movements. The dragons hadn't attacked yet. Maybe they were curious. Maybe they weren't as hungry as the station master had claimed. "Hello," he said softly. Not knowing what else to do, the red dragon's head swung toward him. Its eyes were like polished amber, with vertical pupils that narrowed as it focused on him. It made a sound, not a roar, but a deep, musical tone that Tai-1 felt in his chest. Above, the Vekari audience began to click and hiss again. They were getting impatient. They wanted blood. The red dragon took a step toward Tai-1. Its claws left deep marks in the sand. It lowered its head until it was level with Tai-1's face, close enough that he could feel its hot breath. Tai-1 stood his ground, though every instinct screamed at him to run. Running would be useless. The pit walls were smooth and high. There was nowhere to go. The dragon's nostrils flared as it smelled him. Its eyes seemed intelligent, curious, not the eyes of a mindless beast. "You're not going to eat me, are you?" Tai-1 whispered. The dragon made that musical sound again. Was it trying to communicate? The green dragon approached next, moving to Tai-1's right. The yellow and white dragons circled behind him. The blue one, the largest, remained at a distance, watching. Tai-1 was surrounded. If they attacked together, he wouldn't stand a chance. But still, they hesitated. "What are you waiting for?" shouted a voice from above. Captain Krell, his translator set to maximum volume. "Attack, eat." The dragons looked up at the sound, and Tai-1 saw something in their eyes he hadn't expected. Anger. Not at him, but at the Vekari. "They don't like you either," Tai-1 said quietly. The red dragon turned back to him. It made a different sound now, a series of low tones. It was definitely trying to communicate. Tai-1 remembered stories his grandmother had told him, tales of dragons who could speak, who were wise and ancient. He had always thought they were just stories. "I don't understand," he said to the dragon. The creature's eyes seemed to show frustration. It moved closer, its head now just inches from Tai-1's. Slowly, carefully, it extended a long, forked tongue and touched Tai-1's forehead. A jolt like electricity ran through Tai-1's body. His vision blurred. For a moment, he saw strange images, stars from unfamiliar angles, landscapes with purple plants, creatures he couldn't name. When his vision cleared, something had changed. He could feel a presence in his mind, not words exactly, but concepts, emotions. The dragon was in his head. How? Tai-1 gasped. The answer came not in words, but in understanding. The dragons were telepathic. They could share thoughts through touch. They had been trying to decide if Tai-1's mind was compatible with theirs. It was. More concepts flowed into Tai-1's mind. The dragons were not from Earth, but from a world circling a distant star. The Vekari had found them, captured them, brought them here for entertainment. The dragons were prisoners, just like him. "How long have you been here?" Tai-1 asked. The answer was unclear. Time meant something different to the dragons, but it had been many cycles, many seasons. "Why don't you fight back? You're powerful." Images of pain filled Tai-1's mind. The Vekari had ways to hurt the dragon's devices that caused agony without leaving marks. And there were hatchlings, young ones kept somewhere else in the station, hostages to ensure the adults' cooperation. "I'm sorry," Tai-1 said. "I wish I could help." The red dragon pulled back slightly. It made that musical sound again. But now Tai-1 understood it was a question. "Why do you smell of kin?" "What do you mean?" The dragon's eyes focused on Tai-1's chest, on the pendant that hung there. With shaking hands, Tai-1 pulled out the jade dragon. It's just a carving, a good luck charm from my grandmother." But as the red dragon looked at the pendant, Tai-1 felt its shock, recognition. The pendant meant something to the dragon. The other dragons moved closer, all looking at the small jade carving. Even the massive blue one approached now, its footsteps making the ground shake. Above, the Vekari audience was growing restless. This was not the bloody spectacle they had paid to see. Some were shouting, others throwing objects into the pit. "What's happening?" The station master's voice boomed. "Why no attack?" The dragons ignored the voice. The blue one, clearly the leader, came right up to Tai-1. It was enormous, its head alone the size of Taiwan's entire body. It lowered this massive head and, very gently, touched its snout to the jade pendant. A flood of images filled Taiwan's mind, too many, too fast to understand. But one thing was clear: the symbol carved into the jade was important, sacred. The blue dragon pulled back and looked into Taiwan's eyes. Then, to Taiwan's astonishment, it began to lower its front legs. It was bowing to him. One by one, the other dragons followed suit, bending their long necks, lowering their bodies to the sand. The pit fell completely silent. Even the Vekari stopped their noise. "What is happening?" Krell's voice demanded. "Why do they bow?" Dragons do not bow. But they were bowing to Taiwan, to the pendant, to something they recognized from their distant past. The blue dragon raised its head slightly and projected a clear thought into Taiwan's mind. "You are marked one. You are kin. We serve. I don't understand," Taiwan said aloud. "What is a marked one?" The answer came in fragments, pieces of ancient memory. Long ago, before the dragons were captured, they had encountered beings like Taiwan humans, or something very similar. These beings had treated the dragons with respect, had learned their ways, had formed a bond. The mark, the symbol on Taiwan's pendant, was a sign of that bond, a promise of friendship between species. Somehow, across the gulf of space and time, Taiwan's grandmother's pendant had carried that ancient symbol, and the dragons remembered. "Get up," Taiwan said to the station master. "The show is over. These dragons are not performing anymore." The Vekari audience erupted in confusion. Some stood, pointing and clicking rapidly. Others remained seated, too shocked to move. The station master's voice boomed across the arena. "What trick is this? Human, what have you done to our dragons?" Taiwan didn't answer. He was still trying to understand the flood of images and feelings from the blue dragon's mind. The connection between them was growing stronger. He could sense the dragon's thoughts more clearly now. "Your name," Taiwan said quietly to the massive creature. "Do you have a name?" The answer came not as a word, but as a feeling: deep, cool water reflecting stars. The closest human word might be midnight. "Midnight," Taiwan said aloud, testing the name. The blue dragon raised its head slightly, pleased to be recognized. That the red dragon had a name like ember. The green one was something like leaf. The yellow one was sunscale. And the white one was frost. They were all still bowing, waiting for Taiwan to accept their service. He felt uncomfortable with this. He didn't want servants. He wanted allies. "Please stand," he said. "I'm not your master." Midnight's thoughts flowed into his mind. The marked ones were never masters. They were friends, partners. The old bond was one of mutual respect. Slowly, the dragons rose. They formed a circle round Taiwan, facing outward, a protective formation. Above, Captain Krell was shouting orders. Guards appeared at various points around the edge of the pit, holding long poles with glowing tips. The dragons hissed at the sight of these weapons. "Pain sticks," Ember's thoughts explained to Taiwan. "They hurt us with these." Anger rose in Taiwan's chest. These magnificent creatures had been tortured, forced to fight for entertainment. It wasn't right. "We need to get out of here," he said to the dragons. "All of us." Midnight's reply was immediate. "The young ones. We cannot leave without the hatchlings. Where are they kept?" Images flowed into Taiwan's mind. A large room deep in the station. Walls lined with clear containers. Inside each container was a baby dragon, no larger than a house cat. There were dozens of them. "We'll get them," Taiwan promised. "But first, we need to deal with this." The guards were preparing to enter the pit. They stood at access points around the edge, pain sticks ready. Midnight's thoughts were grim. "They will hurt us until we obey." "They will hurt you too. Not this time," Taiwan said. He looked up at the platform where Captain Krell and the station master stood. "Can you get me up there?" Midnight lowered his massive head. Taiwan climbed onto the dragon's neck, settling just behind the head. The scales were smooth and warm beneath him, with small ridges that provided handholds. "Hold tight," Midnight's thoughts warned. The blue dragon gathered itself, muscles tensing. Then, with incredible power, it leaped upward. Taiwan's stomach dropped as they soared through the air. Midnight's claws caught the edge of the platform, and with one smooth motion, the dragon pulled itself up, Taiwan found himself face to face with Captain Krell and the station master. Their compound eyes widened in what must have been shock. Impossible. The station master's translator said, "Dragons do not obey humans. These ones do," Taiwan replied. He slid down from Midnight's neck and stood beside the massive dragon. "And we're leaving. All of us." Krell made a sharp clicking sound. "You go nowhere. Dragons are property of Vekari Empire. You are property to now." Midnight growled, a sound so deep it made the platform vibrate. The other dragons were climbing up now, surrounding the Vekari officials. Frost and Sunscale moved to block the doors. Leaf and Ember took positions at Taiwan's sides. The Vekari guards hesitated, their pain sticks lowered. They had never seen the dragons act like this before. "The dragons are not property," Taiwan said firmly. "They're intelligent beings. They can think, they can communicate, and they've chosen to help me." "Trick," the station master insisted. "Some human technology. Mind control device." Taiwan laughed. "I'm a miner. I dig up rocks. Do I look like I have advanced technology?" He held up his pendant. "This is all I have. A family heirloom. But it means something to the dragons. It's a symbol of an ancient agreement between our kinds." The station master's translator made a dismissive sound. "Stories. Lies." Midnight lowered his massive head until it was level with the station master's. The dragon's amber eyes fixed on the Vekari's compound ones. Then, deliberately, Midnight opened his mouth, revealing rows of sharp teeth. The station master stepped back quickly. "Now," Taiwan said, "we're going to the hatchery. You're going to release all the baby dragons. Then we're leaving on your fastest ship." "Impossible," Krell said. "Station defenses will destroy any unauthorized launch." Taiwan smiled. "Then I suggest you authorize it." For a moment, no one moved. The Vekari audience watched in stunned silence. The guards gripped their pain sticks, waiting for orders. Then the station master made a series of rapid clicks. The guards lowered their weapons. "Follow," the station master said. "To hatchery." They moved through the station in an unusual procession, Taiwan walking beside Midnight, followed by the other dragons, with the station master, Krell, and several guards leading the way. Other Vekari pressed themselves against walls as they passed, their compound eyes wide with fear or wonder. The corridors grew narrower as they descended deeper into the station. Finally, they reached a large door marked with symbols Taiwan couldn't read. "Hatchery," the station master said. "Restricted area." The door slid open. Inside was exactly what Taiwan had seen in Midnight's thoughts. A large room with walls lined with clear containers. In each container was a baby dragon, small and delicate, with scales that hadn't yet developed their full color. The adult dragons made soft, musical sounds when they saw the hatchlings. The babies responded, pressing themselves against the glass of their containers. "Open them," Taiwan ordered. The station master hesitated, then made a gesture. A Vekari technician began pressing controls. One by one, the containers opened. The baby dragons didn't hesitate. They leaped from their prisons, some flying with small, undeveloped wings, others climbing down to the floor. They rushed to the adult dragons, who lowered their heads to nuzzle and check each hatchling. Taiwan felt a wave of emotion from Midnight: relief, joy, and fierce protectiveness. 3 of the hatchlings gathered around the blue dragon's feet. His children, Taiwan realized. "Now," Taiwan said to the station master, "about that ship." The station master's compound eyes fixed on Taiwan. "You take valuable Vekari property. Empire will hunt you. Let them try," Taiwan replied, patting Midnight's neck. "I think we can handle ourselves." The station master made a sound that the translator didn't catch, perhaps a Vekari curse. Then it turned and led them toward the docking bays. As they walked, Taiwan felt a small weight land on his shoulder. He turned his head to find one of the hatchlings. Perched there, a tiny dragon with scales that shifted between blue and green. Its eyes, already showing intelligence, studied Taiwan's face. "Hello, little one," Taiwan said softly. The hatchling made a small musical sound and rubbed its head against Taiwan's cheek. Midnight's thoughts touched his mind. "She likes you. She will be your companion. I'd be honored," Taiwan replied, gently stroking the baby dragon's back with one finger. For the first time since his capture, Taiwan felt hope. He wasn't just escaping. He was starting something new, something that might change everything. The docking bay was massive, filled with ships of various sizes. The station master led them to a sleek vessel near the center. Scout ship, the translator explained. Fast, good range. Can reach Earth system. Tai-1 studied the ship. It was smaller than the one that had captured him, but still large enough to hold all the dragons. Its dark hull had the same shifting patterns he had seen on Krell's vessel. Will it hold air for me? Tai-1 asked. The station master made an affirmative click. Ship adapts to passengers. Will maintain human breathable atmosphere. And the controls? Can I fly it? Simple interface. Learns from user. You will manage. Tai-1 wasn't sure if that was true, but he had no choice. He needed to get the dragons away from this place. Open it, he ordered. The station master pressed a control on its wrist device. A door slid open in the ship's side, revealing a ramp. Midnight went first, ducking his massive head to enter the ship. The other adult dragons followed, each carrying several hatchlings on their backs. Tai-1 waited until they were all inside. The small blue-green dragon still perched on his shoulder. Captain Krell stepped forward. This is mistake. Vekari Empire powerful. Many ships, many weapons. You cannot escape. Tai-1 looked at the alien who had kidnapped him, who had thrown him to the dragons as entertainment. He felt anger, but also pity. The Vekari didn't understand what they had done, the ancient power they had awakened. I'm not trying to escape your empire, Tai-1 said. I'm going to change it. He turned to the station master. When your leaders ask what happened here, tell them this. The dragons have chosen a human as their voice. We will return, and when we do, we'll expect to be treated with respect, all of us, dragons and humans alike. The station master's compound eyes blinked rapidly. Or what? Tai-1 smiled. Or they'll learn what dragons can really do when they're angry. With that, he turned and walked up the ramp into the ship. The door closed behind him. Inside, the ship was larger than it had appeared from outside. The main chamber was big enough for all 5 adult dragons to stand comfortably. The walls were lined with what looked like control panels, glowing with soft light. Now what? Tai-1 said aloud. Midnight's thoughts touched his mind. The ship will respond to your commands. It is designed to be intuitive. Tai-1 approached what appeared to be the main control panel. As he got closer, the symbols on it shifted, changing to forms he could understand, not quite English, but close enough that he could guess their meanings. Launch, he said. Pressing a glowing circle, the ship hummed to life. Screens appeared on the walls, showing views outside. Tai-1 could see the station master and Krell backing away as the ship's engines powered up. I hope this works, Tai-1 muttered. The ship rose smoothly from the docking bay floor. Tai-1 found that controlling it was surprisingly easy. It seemed to respond to his thoughts, almost as much as to his hands on the controls. They moved toward the bay doors, which were still closed. Open the doors, Tai-1 said to the screen, hoping the station master could hear him. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the massive doors began to slide apart, revealing the blackness of space beyond. Thank you, Tai-1 said. Guiding the ship forward, they passed through the doors and out into open space. The Vekari station fell behind them, a massive structure shaped like a wheel, glittering with lights. We did it, Tai-1 said, hardly believing it himself. The baby dragon on his shoulder made a happy trilling sound. The adult dragons moved around the chamber, checking on the hatchlings, exploring their new home. Tai-1 set a course for Earth, then turned to face the dragons. It's a long journey home. Several weeks, at least. Midnight approached, lowering his massive head to look Tai-1 in the eyes. The dragon's thoughts were clear. This ship is faster than you think, and we have much to teach you during the journey. Teach me? Images flowed into Tai-1's mind, dragons and humans working together, sharing knowledge, building something greater than either could alone. The old bond, Tai-1 said, understanding. You want to restore it? Midnight's answer was simple. Yes, it is time. Over the next days, as the ship sped through space, Tai-1 learned more about the dragons than he had ever imagined possible. They were an ancient species, far older than humans. They had traveled between stars long before they met the first humans or beings very like humans. On a distant world, the bond had been formed then, a partnership that benefited both species. The dragons provided protection, and their unique abilities, not just their telepathy, but other powers they had not yet shown Taiwan. The humans provided creativity, adaptability, and a different way of seeing the universe. Together, they had built wonders. Together, they had explored the stars. But something had happened, a great disaster that neither dragons nor humans had survived intact. The dragons had lost much of their civilization, becoming scattered across many worlds. The humans had perhaps been destroyed entirely, or had retreated to a single world to rebuild Earth. The symbol on Taiwan's pendant was a record of that ancient bond, passed down through generations. Its true meaning forgotten, but its importance somehow remembered. My grandmother said it was for protection. Taiwan told Midnight as they sat in the ship's control room, watching the stars streak by. She was more right than she knew. The baby dragon, whom Taiwan had named Jade after his pendant, was curled in his lap, sleeping. She had barely left his side since they escaped. Midnight's thoughts were warm with approval. She will grow strong. She will be the first of a new generation to know the bond from birth. What will happen when we reach Earth? Taiwan asked. People will be afraid of you. Midnight's answer was calm. Some will fear. Others will remember, deep in their souls. The bond was written not just in symbols but in blood and bone. Humans will know us, as we know them. And the Vekari? They'll come after us. The blue dragon's eyes gleamed. Let them come. They do not know what they face. We are not merely beasts for their entertainment. We are dragons. As if to emphasize this point, Midnight raised his head and let out a soft breath. A small flame danced in the air, blue-white and hotter than any fire Taiwan had ever seen. You can breathe fire, Taiwan said, amazed. The old stories were true. Midnight's thoughts held amusement. That is the least of what we can do. Marked 1. Wait until we reach Earth. Wait until we are home. The ship continued its journey through the stars, carrying its precious cargo: 5 adult dragons, 37 hatchlings, and 1 human miner who had somehow become the bridge between the ancient species. Behind them, the Vekari Empire was already sending messages, already mobilizing ships. Ahead lay Earth, unprepared for the return of creatures out of legend, and between them, Taiwan held a small jade pendant, a symbol of a bond that was about to change everything. The dragons had returned, and this time they had not come alone.